Ryan was going to tell me, but that's okay. So welcome everybody to the RSP Film Room. Ryan Riddle joining me once again. We had basically a double bill this week because Ryan, I had the pleasure of having Ryan and I together doing the hindsight analysis of Trent Richardson that everyone seemed to really enjoy. And Ryan and I actually, it was an impromptu thing. We actually scheduled this particular version of the RSP Film Room a few weeks ago, and we just kind of came up with the idea. Ryan actually came up with the idea, which is a great one. It was one that we did earlier in the spring, where we did a comparative analysis of two safeties last year, and so now we're going to do the same thing with defensive tackle. And the two players that we're going to be profiling today, and I'm going to probably mispronounce his name, but it's Robert Nkemdiche, the Ole Miss defensive tackle, versus Alabama. And then we're going to turn right around after that, and we're going to watch a player against Alabama again, this time in the Sugar Bowl, Mr. Adolphus Washington. So this should give us a good chance to kind of see guys against the same competition, and this should just be a really fun show.
Guys of the same proportion as well.
Yes, great point. Great point. So talk about why that's important. I mean, tell us a little bit more about, why you want to do this type of concept, because I think it's a great idea.
Well, okay, so basically, there's all different kinds of defensive tackles with different skill sets. So if we're going to do a comparative analysis of these two prospects, it makes sense to try and get guys of similar body shape, capabilities essentially, and their jobs, responsibilities will at least be more similar relative to if we watch a 270-pound defensive tackle who's probably a gap shooter and a 320-pound clog. We're not going to get much value out of comparing the two. So at least this way, we have a higher likelihood of seeing apples to apples comparisons.
Yeah, and both of these guys play out of a 4-3 defense. So from a basic standpoint, that should also be helpful too. So, if you're new to the RSP Film Room, this is one that you might want to buckle in and get some popcorn, because it's going to be, we'll probably go for about 90 minutes, maybe a little bit more for this particular episode. It's just two guys watching film and breaking down what we see, rewinding the tape where we need to, and really thinking about these players within the context of, would you draft them for the NFL? How high maybe would you draft them if this is what is the norm for what we are seeing from the player in this isolated viewpoint? And what are some of the things that we feel like separate these players or give them the potential that they do? So before we get into it too deeply, I'm going to do what has become a custom here that is kind of annoying, but it's important, which is to read the disclaimer that the videos posted here on the Rookie Scouting Portfolio Film Room are not hosted on the server, and the original video content is not considered the property of the Rookie Scouting Portfolio Film Room. The videos are considered to be used under the Fair Use Doctrine of the United States Copyright Law, Title 17, U.S. Codes 107 through 118. And the videos are used on the site for editorial and educational purposes only. And the Rookie Scouting Portfolio Film Room and its staff do not claim ownership of any original video content, and the RSP Film Room and the staff do not use the video clips in advertisements, marketing, for direct financial gain. All the video content in each clip is considered owned by the individual broadcast companies. We're looking at cut-ups of games that are available on YouTube and just breaking them down and talking about individual players for people to learn and for us to learn from each other. So that's the mouthful. We appreciate you tuning in. And Ryan, any last words before we dive into this that you want to,
Yeah, you emphasize it. There's could be dead time, just us watching, studying. I don't think either of us have seen at least one of these players. You've seen Nechem, right?
Yes.
What's his name?
I think Nkemdiche, I think.
Okay. Right. And I haven't seen either.
Yeah, I'm honestly not good with African-based names in terms of understanding like the pronunciation very well. So if I butchered it, please someone help me be corrected on that so that I can say it, because I think I did okay with Odighizuwa, but it took some practice before we got online. So that's just how it goes, you know. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this started and make sure that Ryan and I both can see the screen and get this shared, and we should be good to go fairly soon. Let's see. All right, now we got rid of my mug. We can present this to everybody, and I think we're good to go. What do you think, Ryan?
Looks good.
All right.
Slow-mo, yeah.
Yep, let's get it on half speed. We like to do that. And here we go, number 5. And let's see what we got here to start. Yeah, that'll work. All right. Let's do one more time.
It's really jumpy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if you want me to try a little slower, or do you want me to try a little faster?
Let's do. That's fine. Normal. Let's try that.
Okay. Let's try normal.
Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Okay. That almost looks like slow motion to me, anyways. So first thing right off the bat, this guy is he doesn't have a lot of fat on him. He's got thick legs, but for a defensive tackle, right there you could see lean torso, right? For a D tackle. He doesn't have the gut. I mean, but that's showing that he's a strong guy who's capable of handling his own in the trenches, at least on the college level, at least. So.
Yeah.
But in this particular play, even that might be compromised.
So when you see a guy lock his arms out like this at this point, like he gets into the pads of the guy and then locks out as if he's reading. It looks like this running back here, as if that's got going to the hole to shed. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
That's
expecting?
That's what they teach. Get your hands inside the chest, extend, and then you shed. So that's essentially what he's trying to work on. But he loses his balance, falls backwards, and the ball goes the other way. It's neutral play for me.
Yeah, and it looks like that he gets clipped by his own man, who's getting like steamrolled by the center there, and kind of get knocked backwards too.
But he did have good hand placement.
Yeah. And he was aggressive. I mean, he did get a push.
He's a launcher. He launches out. But this is, probably their first snap of the game, really early into the game. Probably his excitement and nerves. Let's see if he can keep coming off the ball like that as we move on.
That's a good launch into it, intensity-wise, but
out of control, head down.
Yeah.
But and that's him compensating for a lack of anchoring. That's how he compensates for not having the girth to really anchor in there.
Yeah, and when you have to make that kind of a movement, then I mean, it's interesting because you can tell his helmet's right over here. He's watching the exchange, or hopefully trying to get his eyes on the exchange. And when
splitting the double team, this is splitting the double team, an attempt.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying, but and at that point, it's like he gives up on it because he knows he just can't. He doesn't have the strength. Not on that play, or the leverage on that play.
Well, he had leverage. It just was poor technique leverage. He was definitely the low man, but he was out of control. His head was down, and he didn't use his hands as he tried to split it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a double team by 2 Alabama linemen. And any time you can hold your positioning in a double team, relatively speaking, towards the end it starts being compromised somewhat. But holding your position against a double team is almost all they're ever expecting and hoping that you can achieve, especially with a guy who's undersized, it would seem. I mean, his dimensions written down at 294, you said, that doesn't seem undersized. But as I look at him on tape, I'm questioning whether or not he's legitimately that big.
Right. And then the other question would be, if he is legitimately that big, then would you say that because of his body shape and type, that even though the numbers look good, in context of how his body looks, then he needs to be bigger? Would that be
right?
Okay.
And you could see functional strength. You can see he plays like an undersized defensive tackle. So I mean, just in 2 plays. Keep in mind, I've only seen 2 plays. Let's keep that into context.
Right. He is quick off the ball, at least in the first 3 plays, which he's fresh.
And he's using that quickness not necessarily in a Sheldon Richardson, Aaron Donald type of way, but he's using it in I'm just trying to hold my own.
Very good.
He's not penetrating with that, or at least successfully. He seems more focused on controlling that blocker.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think this is the kind of player that I think a lot of fans get excited about, because you see the violence in his movement, but you're not seeing the impact of any violence really being able to control a man, and I think you've delineated that difference a good bit, is that you can, as a fan, I would watch defense and I would see, look how quick he is. That's great, and that it would catch my eye and it would flash there. But if you're not looking at the idea that, oh, well, is he getting a push on the man? Is he controlling the man? Is he able to do something with that push? That's what we want to see.
And we might see that. And I am still also, just for clarity, impressed with that quickness as well. But if you're going to be an undersized defensive tackle, by God, you better be quick, right? So
right.
It's a prerequisite at this point. And once again, I mean, maybe he's getting pushed back there. Is that what I'm seeing? It's skipping a lot. Okay.
There he is.
Is that him?
Yeah. Okay. I'm circling where he is. I'm going to start it over one more time.
Sure. Yep. Is he number 5?
Yes.
That's an interesting number.
I always love when I have a player on the show who played a position and I think I've had this happen a couple of times where somebody goes, is he wearing that number? Like, what's the deal with him wearing that number?
I wanted to be number 7 at Cal as a defensive end, and I just didn't really get that opportunity. There, you have to earn that. It's like they must have respect for him. That's actually what I think of when I see a number like that at a defensive line position.
That's cool. Is it kind of like having a vanity plate as a, when you go to the DMV and you think of like a good vanity plate and you can get one, but it's more respect than that.
Yeah. I think these coaches want him to be happy. That's what I think. Give him what he wants.
I think that's very astute, because I think he was a big time recruit.
All right, so not seeing functional strength in the clips I'm watching. Quickness, I think we can obviously see elements of that, and impressive quickness. He uses it to supplement anchoring power, and then it works for the first second of contact, but eventually power overcomes and pushes him out of the way, and he's left rendered useless because after extending his arms, he doesn't have much by the way of shedding the block, using a move, penetrating gaps, and all of this once again through the concept of just a very short sample size.
Yeah.
Is he on the ground? No, he's not.
The hustle
no,
was, yeah, the hustle's there.
Let's see that. Let's see that again.
Yeah, here we go. Want me to try and slow it down one more time and see if it doesn't jump as much? Let's see.
Sure.
Let's try that. All right, I'm circling where he is. Give it a start here.
Okay. 2 guys on him. He's looking for the ball. He spins around, finds it, and Sims scrambles out of his reach, which there was a lot of open field.
Yeah, let's look at it one more time here. This is the effect that Robert Nkemdiche actually has at times. That can do that. Well, I was going to say, you know, I actually kind of enjoyed the sound effect of Nkemdiche there.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It was like the horror. And that's what I was telling the fans when he got up. I was like, actually, I was going to mention to you earlier. I was actually going to mention to you earlier when your daughter came in looking around for something, she was breathless. I was going to make a joke about Nkemdiche making the same thing, because he sounded like he was panting when he was, you know, running through here.
Yeah, no, my wife is playing Monster and they're running away from her, and so I was a safe haven at the wrong time.
Whoa. Well, we got to see him upper hand here. Let's watch that again.
Yeah.
See, this is what I like about this show. It's like Friday night. You know, when I had kids that age, it was like this. It's fun, man. Now mine's with her boyfriend downstairs making food that smells really good. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No, that was. Does this guy get tripped over somebody's foot?
Yeah, let's see, because that's what I thought.
Because he gets ragdolled.
All right, he gets the good punch there. He knocks him back.
Yep.
And maybe this running back. Let's see. Maybe.
Good, but look at that torso bend too. It looks like the upper body gives before the feet do.
Yeah.
Right at the push point.
Oh yeah, he just lands a punch.
Jeez.
Look at that punch right here. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That is just great. And that's that functional strength I was waiting for.
Yeah, and that had nothing to do with the running back. I don't think. Let's see if they get another view of it, but I don't think it's a trip from a tangle of feet there, because there's the feet there, over here. I think it's just that punch you said. Wow. I don't think the guard knew what happened on that one.
Huh. Okay, let's see what he's got in the pass rush department.
Yeah.
I think he's a magnet for contact. And unfortunately, you don't really want to be you want to minimize contact with blockers when possible.
Yeah, on this he looks like someone who is just flailing his arms around, trying to just physically dominate the man who is actually more physically dominant than him.
He's
There's
got
like,
the effort. He's got a good. You could see some heavy hand elements there with his, the play before, and then you can see that like his hands actually see what illegal hands to the face, but still like it's doing a lot of it's causing big movement on a big man.
yeah, he's a guy with physical tools, but he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't look like he has a plan to me, or at
Right.
least he's got a general plan, which is let me push this man back into the pocket, but he doesn't have a plan of like, if he does this, I'm going to do that.
And just once again, this is a fluid opinion that more tape and watching him, we're gonna maybe see a guy who has more of those things. This
Yes.
is a fun build of sort of piecing him together.
Yeah. Look at that.
Look at it. Yeah. Impressive. Very impressive.
Whoa.
That was like 3 good steps backwards. He's got the power.
Yeah. Whoa. That was nice.
But no plan, once again.
Yeah.
No attempt to shoot a gap. No attempt to get this guy off balance with little juking, little elusiveness. Think like a running back a little bit. Once I made that connection as a pass rusher that you can incorporate things that you see from running backs into your game. It opened up a whole new world. That world is not open to him right now.
No. I mean, it's like, this is a guy that's basically all size and speed who's like, I'm just going to run you over, rather than like, I'm going to give you a little bit of a shake and then get you off balance and then use that punch so that I can discard you with the force of my impact. It's more like, okay, now I've got you back.
Even like, if you're gonna do this, pick a side. And defensive line coaches will tell you this all the time. You're making your job really hard when you try and take on the entire blocker, and it's an inefficient way to beat a man because he's always going to be in front of you, even if you're collapsing the pocket. Get to a side, one side or the other, go back and forth, but work sides of the man, and you'll have a better chance of getting behind him. If you work right in front of him, he's pretty much always going to be in front of you.
Yeah, and it looked like he was maybe try to head inside, and when he gets this first one right here, I would think that's the time that you want to say, let me pick a side right now, and because I've already got him off balance, even if you should have picked the side much earlier in the play.
From the beginning, always work one side or the other, and you can go back and forth, but just don't work the man right down the middle.
Yeah.
Can you teach that to him?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and but this is always the fun conundrum about physical talented players is, can you teach it? Yes. Can he learn it? We don't know. That's what we're going to have to find out.
He seems to be very familiar or technique savvy with hand placement. He's very consistent with his hand placement. He's using his hands in terms of finding the right push points on the chest, inside, not outside. He's not a grabber. His hands tend to be inside relative to the blocker's hands who are on the outside, and that helps his power and his control over the blocker. So,
and he gets low enough all the time too. I mean, he's pretty consistent with that.
Good leverage.
And look at his hands here. I think there's a point where you're going to see him kind of chop away or like rip upward with that. Yeah, with that inside arm.
You see it. Does he make this?
I think he got contact. It's hard to tell from this angle, but see the arm here kind of rip upward to get rid of the read.
Right. I saw that.
And then you see the shoulder here, and you see the hands.
Yeah.
I think he gets his hands on the back of this man's leg, and that does force the runner to have to just kind of dive forward for extra yardage.
Yeah. Look how lean he is. Look at his.
Yeah.
He's a lean D tackle.
Yes, he is. Now they got him at end a little bit.
Wait, can we start that over?
Yeah.
I lost him.
He's right here.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and get it started right at that spot. Here we go. And we're going to watch him push the 18-wheeler. Hands were a little high there, but he's still, he just taking the middle, like you said. He gets a push, but because, like you said, he didn't pick a side, and the side kind of comes to him. Yeah.
He picked that wrong side. He's not used to being on the outside.
Yeah, and he did because he didn't contain the edge.
Right.
Especially,
but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, he's not experienced. That's not his main job.
Right. With this, it's just you can pull from this. He can definitely. He has the bull rush power element. Wait, sorry. I keep missing him from the beginning.
Sure. He's over here.
Okay.
Where I'm circling. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That's not him.
Right here? Yeah.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong guy.
That's okay. Jeez. We'll do one more time. Here he is engaging, it looks like the center. And he gets outside him.
See, that's playing one side of a man instead of down the middle. And that's what the result is more like. But this is a screen, so that was they influence that.
Yeah. And if you're looking for a really savvy play, I would imagine. What are some things that for a defensive lineman to understand where there might be a key to read for a potential screen? Is there anything here that you would look at and say?
You can feel the offensive lineman giving you ground. And if you feel that, and you can sort of, situation is going to be a good indicator. You study these teams and you know if they're a high screen team or not. You know the type of percentages that you're going to see with screens with them. And the key is just seeing whether or not these guys are opening the door for you. If they're opening the barn door, then turn and sprint in the opposite direction.
Yeah, especially on a 3rd and 9, because you're thinking to yourself, that makes no sense. Like, this shouldn't be this easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think he's over here on the left. And they've got 2 guys waiting on him now, a 3rd.
3 men. So I've been in those situations where he was surrounded sort of on an island, and he's not sure that ball's ever going to come in his way. But
you just kind of have to keep the effort.
I'll get to it later in a minute. Hold on. Let's see.
All right.
I want to see what he's doing on this play.
The last one, you want me to go back?
No, this is fine.
Okay. All right. That's not him. Let me see that one more time.
He was the left DT.
Yeah, right here. Okay.
Yeah. Laid off the ball and getting driven. When you get this guy moving laterally, he just he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. And
his power goes.
What should he be doing here when he's getting moved into a second lineman to help a double team here?
Okay. Can you pause it for a second?
Yeah.
One of the things he doesn't know that he has is it looks like he has the speed to not play the game that the offensive linemen are playing. They're drawing him into that direction. But if he recognizes what this play is and he sees where that running back is, he should know that he can just pretend to flow with them, cut back in between that A gap, just shoot the A gap and make the tackle behind the line. Simple.
Like one step that way and then come back in? Like, should he make one step to the right and then cut back inside, or should he make?
Yes, exactly. Pretend, make them think that he's flowing with them, and then cut it right up and go upfield and make that tackle.
Gotcha. Very much like pressing the hole and cutting back.
Yeah. But that's just like, that's not his keep in mind, that's not the coaching. The coach doesn't tell him to do that. He's doing what the coach tells him to do. And this is the difference between a playmaker and somebody who has physical talents and listens to a coach. A playmaker says, I'm getting the ball. And to do that oftentimes involves going into a realm that you are taking a chance. You're doing something you're not necessarily supposed to do because you believe that this is a time where it's going to work. That's playmaker on defense.
Great definition. Let's do one more time from here. Because I kind of liked what he did with his hands here for a minute, but it was kind of more his forearms, and he couldn't maintain his balance. It looks like he was able to shed for a minute, but then he just tripped all over the man.
He's launching out of control.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, it's good that he's still flowing, still trying to get up. He didn't concede to being on the ground.
Right.
Dog barking at the pizza man. There he looks like a linebacker.
Yeah.
With that number 5. It's good to see that he's downfield, getting in the mix here. And you could see those giant arms. I could see a little bit more of the D-tackle body there up close. I like it. It's good.
Yeah. He's got some huge freaking calves. Like below the knees, he looks like a tackle. But it's like from the knees to the like that core, like from the quads up to his back, he looks more like an outside linebacker at times.
He's thick and condensed.
Yeah.
Especially if he's anywhere near that 294, then he's a really compact 294.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I see him.
And they're trying their best to get 2 guys on him every turn.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of double teams. That's an excellent point to bring up. He's getting a lot of their attention. And it's working.
Yeah.
This looked like a game they had or something.
Yeah. Look at it one more time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bad timing for that.
Yep. You always kind of wonder, like when you see something like that and you see the players all look to the sideline, I always think to myself, they're looking to the sideline like going, well, that call didn't work. Wasn't me, coach. We did what we were supposed to do.
Or they're like, I hope coach isn't yelling at us for calling that game right now.
Very good point.
Sometimes they're calling their own games.
True.
Why did you call a game at the 5-yard line? What's wrong with you?
Man, he's on the ground before we even know it on that one.
Yeah, and I remember that play. I saw this game on TV.
Yeah. Oof.
Great play fake.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen essentially a half of this guy, and no amazing plays on the ball, but he's had a couple of amazing displays of functional strength.
Yeah.
In terms of just pure power. But that doesn't mean, just because we could see those power elements in the passing game, doesn't mean that he necessarily is very good at anchoring. He's not a good anchoring defensive tackle.
No. I mean, he's a physical phenomenon at this stage, but not much else from what we're seeing right now. I mean, like effort. Effort.
Character. Yeah, we could see effort. We can see the hustle. We could see the drive. We don't see like a guy loafing around or looking indifferent to competition.
Yeah, he's serious about playing, and he definitely is giving it his all. It's just that's the question people were going to have is, can you direct those positives and shape them into a good NFL player? And I think that I think what we're seeing thus far is you could see where you'd want to take a chance on him, but I'm just not sure, if we don't see a playmaker like you defined it, and I think that that's the thing that separates him from being a top prospect who's raw in certain regards, from a top prospect who's or a guy who's more refined. I mean, imagine a guy like Zadarius Smith of Kentucky, who is with the Ravens now. When you watch him play, when I watched him play last year, I kind of liked Smith's savvy, but if he had this kind of body, it would, he would have been a first-round pick. If he had this kind of strength.
Mm-hmm. And then I think like guys of his size who were playmakers, Dominic Easley sort of was one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
He was very savvy and had a similar quickness off the ball and elements like that. But he really had more of a feel for how to make a play.
Yeah, and when I watch Robert Nkemdiche here, that lack of savvy kind of shows up. You see a lot of halting steps and movements, even like the moment he spins off and gets free. And I know he gets hit a little bit in the back, so that might not be fair. But it's kind of
That's
like it just seems like it's almost like he's not aware that he's got the chance to do something here.
he's relying on I'm fast and I'm strong. Use it.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Go for it. But I don't know. Do you have more than that? Like, can he learn more about how to do this? Do it better? It's a good question.
Yeah. I got to be honest. If this is what we were to see on a routine basis from him, I'm not sure I would be enthusiastic about taking him. And even though the physical, that strength and quickness is impressive, and I like the effort. I mean, I would have to think about what's the surrounding talent on my team like, and where would I have to invest in him? If he's a guy that I'd have to pick in the first couple of rounds, and I'm not sure I'd get anything out of him for another year or two. And
if ever,
why would I want this? My standard would have to be, I want a smart, savvy player who also has some of these physical skills. But if he's like a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick, and I can have him sit behind someone who is actually, I know it will be willing to work with him, and I feel like that my team is in a stable position, and from the standpoint that my coach isn't going anywhere, the media is not calling for his head, my owner's not an impulsive, crazy person, then, I might actually, then yeah, I could see that condition.
Yeah. And that's about where I'm at. Middle round type risk. You like a lot of the physical attributes that he brings to the table. You could see power. You could see a explosive body, explosive movements. You could see effort. That gives you a lot of clay to mold with. But it's a big mystery how much potential he has on the mental aspects of it. And anytime you have a guy who seems to be relatively undersized for the NFL as a tackle, you have to make sure that he has the things in place to compensate at the NFL level. And he's not a guy who utilizes some of his quickness and strength like he should. So, and then now it's just a matter of can he? And that's where, you go and you visit and you have a little workout with him and you try and see if you can hash out these things. You pick his brain a little bit, see how much he absorbs, how much he's coachable, where his mental potential and instinctual potential lies.
Yeah, and here's a point that I followed up with earlier when you talk about he doesn't quite know where to go, and then I want to ask you a question after this. But watch him spin off of here, and then when he realizes he's free, it's like, this is what I don't like. It's like, oh, well, now let me reset. He's going to hop in the air and plant down like that. And to me, that movement says,
I had no idea that I was going to end up over here.
Yeah. And it's like that little kid in the park who's like learning to move and goes, okay.
It's just everything that I'm seeing tells me that spinning inside almost backwards is absolutely the last thing you want to do. You don't want to give that guy an escape route. You're not getting further. You're not getting any closer to the quarterback when you made that spin. You opened up an escape. You backed yourself up. You didn't get behind the blocker. It was just inefficient, lost play.
Yeah. And you're doing this against a running back, you know? And the thing that Dan Hatman has brought up in the past in some of these appearances is the Dan Hatman of the Scouting Academy has been that oftentimes scouts are guilty of giving players a 4th round grade because it's safe. Like you can say, oh, well, let me put him in the 4th round because if he's good, then I can say, see, he was a 4th round pick. He's got potential. And then if he was a 4th round pick and he busts, you go, oh, well, he's a 4th round pick. You know, what do you expect? So given that spirit in mind, I got to say, if I had to pick one side of the 4th round edge or not, then I'd go down to the 5th round. Because I would rather say he's a 5th round pick. I'm not expecting much from this guy, but he has early round physical skills and he has good effort. But that, you know, to me, that doesn't give me the level of excitement to feel like he's going to do anything with it. He's going to have to prove to me that he can figure out what to do with it. And that means that I'm skeptical until proven otherwise. So a 5th round grade or lower for me would be where I'd be at if this is consistent in his tape everywhere.
And that's not insane by any means, but I will say that I have seen guys with far less talent go much higher at the defensive line position.
Oh, I'm with you, and I'm sure that's the case. But we've also seen plenty of picks in those rounds that don't pay off for that exact mentality. So I'm just trying to think like what I would do in my lesson experience. And then here's the other question for you, because I remember you liking one Quantera Smith facing Alabama, and we're going to have a lot of people watching this who are going to go, well, he's getting double teamed by Alabama. You know, what do you expect? He had a bad game, you know? So tell us about what you expect from a player who's a decent NFL prospect, not even a 1st round guy or even a 2nd round guy, but what would you expect? What are you expecting from him, even though he's facing arguably, you know, one of the best offensive lines year after year in the country?
Well, I think a lot of that is being sort of detailed in the little bit of time that we spent on this. You definitely want a guy who shows athleticism, functional strength. I mean, it's just a list. And it's okay to have weaknesses. It's okay to not be good at everything. As a matter of fact, that's an expectation. Somebody who is just dominant everywhere is the unicorn that, you know, top overall pick type potential. So you say, okay, he's got these weaknesses, but he's got these strengths. Does he know how to use them? And how well does he know how to use them? I would say Nkemdiche is a guy who knows how to use strength. He doesn't even know how to use his quickness. He knows how to use his strength. He does not know how to locate the ball. He does not know where he fits ideally with his defense and with the guys around him. He's not necessarily utilizing himself as a clog or component within this 11-man system in a way that's showing awareness even to scheme, where coaching, his ability to accept coaching. And we have to keep in mind here, this is a senior, right? This guy's a senior.
Yeah.
He's had 4 years development at one of the most highly sought out
or 3 at
college
this point.
college football programs in the nation. People die to play for this team. They get the best talent in the country. They've got to have, you know, relatively good coaching, and in all of that time, he's behind where he should be mentally for this position. And you know, Am I overthinking this? It's a defensive lineman. They don't even need brains. All I want to see is a guy who just throws his big giant grizzly claws in and knocks people over and then closes on the ball really fast. It's all that matters. No, there's a lot of mental elements to every position in football.
I mean, heck, Brian, until I spoke with you, I thought you guys only spoke with one word, in one words and no verbs, or verbs and nouns, and that's it. No prepositions. Hulk smash.
Right. Yeah, all hyperbole there, but no, essentially there is a common perception, really, that there's not really any thought going on to the what's upstairs on these players on the front lines, especially on the defensive side. Upstairs is considered on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, it's an afterthought in what they're looking for.
So let me ask you go ahead.
And I would say that that's a giant mistake and something that I've personally had to overcome at the position my entire career. Every single level, you just look at somebody and you think they can't do it, and they have no real in-depth thought as to what it takes to do it, in terms of the things that aren't so visual, I suppose, and so physical.
Yeah. And I think that that's probably one of the greatest keys to being successful with evaluation, as a whole.
That's why John Randall was undrafted.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talked about scheme and eyes for the ball. What about this play we're watching here? We've got him near the left hash. We see a cutback that's going to come his way. He's got his man stood up. It looks like he's got his eyes here on this particular play and sees it in shed. So that's not bad.
And look how far away that play is from the line of scrimmage.
Yes, because he's pushed back a good 2 yards, and he has to take a step back just to get free from the man. And he's chasing him down from behind rather than being able to come and hit him head on.
So we have a 5-yard gain, and he makes a tackle on a 5-yard gain. And when he actually gets to the ball carrier, Henry, he doesn't stop his momentum very well.
No. Good points.
But Henry's not an easy running back to stop in terms of momentum. That's one of his strengths, which if he were to do something like that, you give him extra credit for, an Eddie George type running back stopping his momentum like that would be impressive.
Yeah. I remember this game too. Now I'm starting to remember this game because I remember watching this particular play to Howard here.
Sinquist Golson got beat.
Yep.
He's very caught up in flowing with offensive linemen. They can just take him wherever they want because he thinks he needs to stay in front of them. He just doesn't understand that your objective should be to get rid of these, bastards. Get rid of these bastards. Get to the ball. That's not the way his brain doesn't work like that.
This is an example of a task-oriented defensive player in a lot of ways.
There you go. Undersized, and that's a really bad combination.
Yeah.
Because if you're undersized doing that, what happens to you is you end up being behind, pushed back like you just did on that last play, another 3 yards. You're making plays 5 yards down the field, and you're really wasting a lot of God-given ability that could be more efficiently productive.
Yeah. He has to show flashes of Herculean strength to do things that aren't even helping your team, really.
Yeah.
He's just doing It's like, oh, that's great that you can dig yourself out of a hole that fast, but now you're just on even ground and the play's over.
Now put me as a coach on Ole Miss, and I'm going, okay, I like that I have this guy as he's going to really he's an asset to our defense, and he's going to help us. But we're talking. There we go. See, we need some more of that type of thing. He's got the little extend, then swim over, uses that guy's leaning against
Yeah.
him. This is the mentality that he doesn't think about. Get rid of these guys. Get behind them. Get in the backfield. Make something amazing happen. It's okay. You have a green light to be an amazing player. Don't be so worried about making a mistake. Don't be so worried about doing every little thing that you're supposed to do, because, nobody really can tell you in the heat of a moment what's the exact thing you need to be doing, and you just need to have those instincts take over.
Yeah.
And on that play, we saw that he's got a little of it in him. He's got a little bit of it. Can you harvest that and expand that side of him? And then in a tape session, as a coach, really emphasize those things that you like about what he's doing, and then also keep warning him about it's also about timing when you make these decisions too. There's a time and a place for everything. And then maybe you could build up this guy into something really effective. That's the big question, and that's why there's still intrigue with this guy, and there should be, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I even like this in space here, where he's able to turn his hips and stay square and be able to at least get his feet get his hands on the back foot of Yeldon here and make the play.
Yeah, it was good ability to change direction and dive out there and get those ankles. But once again, just he was in the mentality of allowing that offensive lineman to get him back a couple, maybe 3 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards.
Yeah, I mean, look how far back now. Yeah,
that doesn't have to happen. He doesn't have to get pushed back like that while that guy cut blocks him. That's not the only way to handle that cut block. Awareness and seeing how this is, knowing your speed, just go the other way, run around. JJ Watt understands this, and he runs around running offensive linemen all the time. He runs around them, and that's something he could do more of, because he actually has the speed and quickness to do it, and he's not aware of it. So you just put that question mark. How much of these things can he do? How much of these things can get better with him? It's this perpetual question that we're going to keep asking ourselves, I guess.
Yeah. And it's such a vital one and a difficult one, for us to know without, like you said, the interview and the workout. And even then, I mean, the more and more I've interviewed people for other roles in life, to me, I really feel like I have to see that flash of intelligence, and I don't mean like IQ intelligence, just like that flash of intelligence for whatever it is that you're asking them to do, and that there's a light on there, an awareness of on some level, and that maybe what the issue was a confidence issue, or just thinking too literally about something that they were asked to do at their school or in their last role, but they show in other ways that ability to not be so linear thinking, but to be more broader thinking. And
it's important.
Yeah, I mean, because
it's important for greatness too, and you always should at least have your eye out for, does this prospect have greatness inside of him?
Yeah.
And it's the things that you're talking about that help answer those questions.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I see a guy who is so he's athletically very good, but he looks robotic to me, not in some regards. Like some things he does well.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna phrase it in the way that when his opponents can see that and feel that roboticism, they're essentially able to predict what he's going to do, and that makes him an easy opponent to handle. At least maybe they struggle at times with some of his heavy-handedness, or maybe some of his effort and push, but more or less they got a good feel on what he's going to do, and that gives them a strong advantage to keep, doing these kinds of things to him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see the guys going, look, he's going to try and bull rush you, and it's going to feel like a mule kick to you at times. But if you just stay there and just let him push you, it's no big deal, because he's not going to pick a side, and you're going to move back. He's going to move you back slowly like he's moving a piano. But
exactly.
Yeah. Like right there.
This is a screen. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets his hands up, which I like, but let's see it one more time. 1st and 10. Yeah, they let him loose.
Open the gates. Good stop. Get your hands up. Yeah. That's neutral.
Yeah. Good process, bad result.
The result wasn't,
Yeah.
The amazing thing that would be to just turn and follow that running back but that's more or less what you just expect, I guess.
Yeah.
But not a lot of big plays, not a lot of tackles, not a lot of getting to that ball carrier. Not a lot of presence in the backfield, unless it's collapsing the pocket style presence in the backfield. And even that seemed to be a first half type of a talent. And as this game grinds on, he's less likely to be putting. It's very difficult to move 300 pounds for 5 yards each play, and so if that's all you got, you're really not going to be able to do it much.
No.